Hello, welcome to Spitball Cinema, where we just talk about movies and go on a tangent, and we have no agenda on each episode. We just like to talk about movies. Guys, I'm with my friend Shane. I'm with my friend Scott. I'm David. Thank you for taking your time out to listen to this. Hopefully you'll come back and join us.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not a big waste of time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we have been known by other people that they enjoy our movie talks because sometimes we'll get a little heated, but we love each other because we're bros. And
I wouldn't say that, but
all right, thank you, guys. But yeah, so this isn't exclusively a movie review site. There might be new movies that we will go see, but we don't go out very much anymore to the theaters because there's really nothing.
There's nothing worth seeing anymore half the time. Good Lord.
Yeah.
You're more likely to get something good on Netflix or
Amazon
than you are in the action.
Yeah, so
there's more interesting stories on the streaming services than in the theater now. It's just a fact.
Absolutely, yeah. And like Horizon came out in the theaters. We didn't go see it. Scott just watched it on HBO Max, and so if we do review something new, it might be a while when it hits the streaming services because. Plus, it's expensive as hell to go to the movies these days.
Well, a lot of times too, when they release in the movies, they'll also release it on the streaming service like HBO Max, because Horizon wasn't out that long before it was on.
I think it was like
it sucked.
Yeah, wow.
The worse something is, the quicker it hits the streaming service.
Which is disappointed because it's Kevin Costner.
No, you can't
Yeah,
say
but it used to be the bargain bin at Blockbuster, where they used to have like the BS movies that would show up.
You can't
like
say it
3
sucks
weeks after
until you
hit the
watch
theater.
it.
Well, no,
You haven't watched it, so how could, you just heard me say it.
Well, and that's what I get for trusting you.
It's not.
Sadly, you're not the only one that said that.
It's not that it really sucked that bad. It just needed work. I think.
Yeah.
It was just
too many stories. Not enough
too
action.
Many weak male characters.
Just one booby shot.
And
we're going to turn into one of those.
Yeah. But anyway,
I'm sorry. Sometimes,
we're not really here to review that movie tonight.
Yeah.
We're basically going to give kind of a little history of each of us, how we got into films, who influenced us, and why films are important to us, and that kind of thing. So,
well, hell, Scott, you've actually been an extra. So
that's right.
You did your extra bits, because you were always interested in the acting side.
Right.
So why don't you tell the people what movies you were in?
I was in Mr. and Mrs. Bridge with Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward.
That's right.
Now, were you with Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward?
They were there the day. Yes, I was being an extra. They were in the scenes. Joanne Woodward.
That's cool.
Joanne Woodward was probably 2 rows ahead of me. And the kid that Robert Sean Leonard from Dead Poets Society, he played her son. He was there.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And Kara Sedgwick, is that her first name? Kara?
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon's wife. She was Paul Newman's daughter in that. But I didn't get to see her that day. But Paul Newman came later in the day, towards the evening. I got there I think it was around 6 o'clock in the morning. He didn't show up to set till 5 o'clock.
At night?
At night. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was like
And you're Paul Newman, you can be late.
Well, his scene wasn't... I mean, just this little 2-minute scene took 14 hours to do. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, we broke for lunch and stuff, and I remember going up to the director, James Ivory.
Ivory Merchant movies, that's right.
Yeah, I went up to James Ivory, and, I'm already signed up to go into the Army. I'm just waiting for it was a delayed entry program, and I go up to him, and I said, I bet you'll be glad when this is done. He goes, yeah, he said, 2 months is a long time making a movie, and blah. He answered my questions, but he was looking at me like, who the hell are you? I just went up to him and started talking to him.
That's awesome.
So,
I'm glad you did.
That was interesting. And I was in Cross of Fire with John Hurd, Lloyd Bridges.
Oh, my gosh.
It was an NBC television miniseries. Huh. Actually, Robert was in it with me, too.
You're kidding
Because
me.
I talked him into going with me, right?
Right.
And I tried to get off work. I was working for Refco drugstore. I tried to get off work. They wouldn't let me, so I quit my job. I quit my job over a free movie. I wasn't even getting. I wasn't even getting paid. I got paid a barbecue dinner and a T-shirt. Yeah, and so I quit my job and I talked Robert into going with me, and we go there and we were playing Klansman.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
that's what it's about, the rise and fall of this big Ku Klux Klan leader. And we're out in Baldwin, Missouri. And I'll never forget, we had...
Wait, but did you have to drive?
I mean, Baldwin, Kansas.
How long of a drive is that?
Well, it's not that far. I forget how many miles. From Kansas City.
Oh, wow.
And so we drove out there, and it was rainy, a little bit rainy. And all the Klansmen's hats were pointy, and they kept drooping like Gumby. And they used to cut, and go over and fix everybody's. They had to go over and fix everybody's, hats. And see, I did that. I did an acting workshop with Dee Wallace. When I got out there.
No, E.T.'s mom.
Yeah, well, that's funny you say that because when she first came into the workshop, she said, "No, I am not E.T.'s mom." that's the first thing she said.
Oh,
right?
so cool.
So what was funny? We were doing. She was teaching. She's big on getting your energy. Get your energy up, and all this good stuff. And I said, this. I met a lot of people in there, and so we were doing a scene. Me and this lady were doing this scene, and she's watching us, critiquing us, and she says, "Guys, stop." She said, "You're acting. Get up and get your energy up." So you have to get up, and you're like shaking your arms and stuff like that. We do the scene, and she starts discussing it with us. The lady that's with me says, "Well, I realized there was only one way to do this." And she said, "Oh, you think so, huh?" She moved her aside, Dee Wallace did, and did the scene with me. And I jumped up to get my energy up, and my face is beat red because I'm freaking out because all of a sudden I'm doing this scene with Dee Wallace across from me, Mrs. Howling, and and we do this scene, and we're just back and forth, me and her, and I'm looking at her, and it was cool, dude. I'll never forget that, doing a scene with Dee Wallace.
I've known
You never even told me that
Yeah,
before.
I've never heard that story before.
I don't think I have told you that.
Uh-uh.
No. I just got out of the Army. I had gotten out of the Army. It was an acting workshop they had downtown, one of those theaters down. I can't remember which. But I paid like a couple $100 and ended up meeting some people. That's where I met this guy that was he was having auditions for this film he was doing called Donner and Blitzen. And I went and auditioned for it. Maybe I haven't told you this story either.
No.
And I went auditioned for the part of Sledge, the Hitman. It was a futuristic thing, And I grew this little mustache. I looked like a '70s porno star, dude. I had the turtleneck on and stuff, and I had the gun with the shoulder holster. And I'll never forget this girl named Vicky that I met there. We were doing a scene. It was downtown. We were shooting all over downtown. And she forgot a piece on the side of her head. It was some kind of futuristic. So she runs across the street, and I'm waiting for her. And I've got a shoulder holster on, gun and stuff. All of a sudden, Kansas City, Missouri police car comes. Pulling up. "Who you working for?" I said, "Huh?" And he goes, "Who you working for?" I said, "No, we're making a movie." He goes, "A movie?" He gets out and he said, "Well, let's see that gun anyway." And I made the dumb mistake of going like this, reaching for that gun. "Stop! Put your hand on your head!" So I got my hands on my, and all of a sudden the director's running across the street because the cops are about to bust me up,
My God!
And they had to explain to it. He said, "Well, usually we get told where people are making movies and stuff like that." And I guess Brian had called and contacted them, but they never. And what had happened was there was an off-duty cop that was going home, and he looks over and he sees a girl running from a guy that has a gun.
Oh, yeah.
And he has a gun, so he called it in. I guess I never told you guys that story. Huh?
Well, evidently, he didn't feel compelled enough to stop and help. I'm off work. Could you come and deal with this guy?
Yeah, and I knew as soon as I reached for it, I thought, "Oh man, that's a big mistake." I knew it was a big. I'd watch Cops and stuff. So,
Oh goodness.
And by the way, Robert is a good friend of us, and he'll appear sometimes on this.
oh
show.
yeah,
I would be surprised.
Yeah.
yeah. And then I did Our Souls at Night with Robert Redford and Jane Fonda, in Colorado.
That's right.
And this is a space over.
That was the thing on Netflix, right?
Huh?
That was the thing on Netflix. Right?
Yeah. And I did
Yeah, we saw you walking in the background.
I also did a thing with called Raising. It was actually originally called Sorry Dad. They changed it to Raising Jeffrey Dahmer. I was in a courtroom scene.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I'm actually on. You can see me on film on that. I'm right at the very beginning of the courtroom, and I was married to Christy at the time, and I remember I went down to KCK through Right Lard casting. They called, and I went down there and did that for one afternoon.
That is awesome. No wonder you like film. Jeez.
But this is a space over years.
Well, I got you.
So I'm kind of jumping around and
that's all right.
Order,
it's interesting.
Yeah.
So the only thing that you could see me on is, do you guys know that comedian Frank Caliendo? He always did the impression of John Madden falling in love with Brett Favre.
Really?
How did they kind of see it?
He was also on Mad. He was on the latter seasons of Mad TV.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, he's got a stand-up DVD out, and I was there with my friend Chuck because we both had to go to Vegas for a seminar, and they were having like the U.S. Comedy Festival there, and we got like second or third row, and you can see me and Chuck in the audience, and so I didn't have to, try out for it. I just walked in, but it's very funny. But that's when I weighed almost 400 pounds. So, but
it's cool doing those, but man, it takes a long time just to